Hello, my wonderful little crumpled up busted radius with the side of liberty. I worked very hard in this video, so I hope you thoroughly enjoy it.
Super Earth, our home. Prosperity, liberty, democracy, our way of life. But freedom doesn't come free. Look familiar? Scenes like these are happening all over the galaxy right now. You could be next. That is, unless you make the most important decision of your life. Join the Helldivers. Become part of the Super Earth Armed Forces and establish managed democracy across the galaxy. The group you see here today is only a few of the many divers striving to liberate every planet from socialism. It is with great honor that I would like to formally introduce to you Fireteam Parallax.
Before we discuss the entire Fireteam as a whole, it is important that we first highlight a very important factor, being that two of our Helldivers are related to the legendary General John Brash, who was the John Helldiver of the First Galactic War. He had a sister, Naomi, who was also a revered Helldiver. After that conflict was resolved, he was put into cryo along with his sister. About 30 years before the start of the Second Galactic War, both were thawed to train new Helldivers. Naomi retired and moved to Durgan and had a single daughter, the leader of our current Fireteam, named Sin. While Brash stayed with the Super Earth Armed Forces, training Helldiver recruits, he had two sons, John Brash II and John Ballin Brash. John Brash II changed his name upon joining the Helldivers at the age of 16, in order to avoid any special treatment that may come from being General Brash's son.
Without further ado, allow me to explain the history, talent, and traits of our elite forces. Super Private Sin is the leader of Parallax and is one of the most capable assets High Command has. Her caring nature and skill with the firearm cause any mission she's a part of to have an incredible casualty rate of almost 0. At the age of 16, during some of the first automaton attacks, her homeworld of Durgan was laid under siege. Her whole colony was killed, including her mother, Naomi Brash, who was landed on it by a dropship. She only managed to escape death by hiding in a fort dug by children from her colony. When she was eventually found and rescued by Helldivers, she forced them to let her stay and help. The only reason she hasn't fought back sooner was because she lacked the means to. She stayed with her uncle, General Brash, for about a year before joining the Helldivers on Liberty Day of 2086, right before the Battle of Ocean Une. Sin hates automatons with a burning passion. Every one of them will look down on her unfeeling face as she dismantles them, slowly. She has a rather annoying habit of trying to adopt almost anyone she comes across on the field, with the rest of the Fireteam having to restrain her. Sin also prioritizes children and takes a special pride in rescuing them from the jaws of tyranny. John Ballin Brash is one of General Brash's two sons and Sin's cousin. He is in fact Ballin. At the ripe age of 1 whole year old, he was gifted the R-36 Eruptor and has been mastering it in its associated terms of anti-tank. This beauty of a brain-damaged democracy Spencer liberates with an efficiency dreamed of and described in legend, and while only being 14, is the highest-ranking KDA in the entire corps with an immaculate 101,748 recorded kills as of 2086, June 6, 9:41 p.m. without legitimate death. He also most likely smoked crown stems and ate a landmine, but we're not quite sure about that as of now. He is also capable of super-secret sneakies onto Super Destroyer via Hellpod uppies. He is the source of all ballin in the universe, and the universe could not function without it. He is immaculate and goated and an anti-tank specialist. John is protected by the Ministry of Defense, which means he gets to get away with things most divers would not. He has had 2 true sips of pure liberty, the O3 Free Spirit and the CPG-48 Sapper. 3 if the Eruptor is counted, but that is given due to his biological bond with the Brash lineage. Admirable Admiral Pyre is about the exact opposite of Sin. She is pretty cold and heartless and will always try to complete the mission before anything else, sacrificing anything and everything if necessary, and seemingly does not care about any casualties. She also seems to forget her weapons of mass destruction that are in her back pocket at all times. As far as anyone can tell, she is just really rude and difficult for no reason. She also speaks Illuminate and was part of an unknown experiment, which may be the cause of her being able to do so. She also seems to be made of gasoline. She's older than Sin and has been a Helldiver longer, but was put into cryo and taken out after Osha Une. She dislikes all other Helldivers, with the only exception being Vixen or rookies, but is rather confused as to why there are so many in Parallax as of recently. Admirable Admiral Rome is a member of Fireteam Parallax and its least valuable member. The only reason he was accepted into the Fireteam was because Sin felt bad for him, since no one else wanted him in their squads. He is somewhat of a liability, but sees himself as a sheriff of sorts due to his home being set in a Western style. However, he is a rather fun guy. After quitting their job as a struggling TV and radio host, Star Marshal Vixen lost a bet with their former friend at an unknown but young age and joined the Thief, and watched her best and then only friend get perforated by a factory strider. They then promised themselves that they would destroy every automaton they saw in order to avenge their friend. She was later adopted by Sin after acquiring a Plas 45 epoch and screaming "Pock" in a very high-pitched voice. Sin looked to John and they agreed, clearly, this one knows ball. Vixen wasn't too fussed about this, being that she had given up on everything and was looking for an honorable death. She almost always brings some variation of her beloved minefielder laser sentry, who is lovingly named Larry, just to be safe, because you can never torture automatons enough. Nothing is ever enough. She sometimes mistakes certain civilians for her ex-friends and executes them out of rage, due to her minor anger issues, and then feels heavy remorse afterwards. Vixen also lost her house due to automaton bombings and now no longer returns to her home planet unless for missions, since there is nothing left there for her. She is also rather short for a Helldiver and was barely able to complete training. Vixen is bisexual and also goes by she/they, much to the confusion of her old Thief friends, which she finds adorable and loves running around on the field with whenever they find each other. They are usually pretty smart, but they keep attempting to use the Eruptor as either a sniper rifle or a shotgun, and always tries to get into the Hellpods before they're even there. The rest of Parallax is probably shocked she made it this far. They despise Pelican pilots, as the ones assigned to drop their vehicles in always put them in extremely hard to reach areas. Unless Sin or anyone else is watching. Of course, nobody will believe her. Stupid Pelican. Vixen is lonely as of losing her friend and is depressed as a result. She is also rather scared of John. They probably fantasize about their fellow divers. Only Lady Liberty knows the answer to that. Cadet Foxy, who was originally named Ellen, was 3 when her parents joined the Helldivers. She grew up with her aunt, who was technically just a family friend. As Ellen grew older and older, her parents stayed away more and more, which caused Ellen to start distancing herself from them because she thought that they had stopped caring for her. Soon enough, she never saw them or heard from them again. She didn't know what happened to them or why they weren't sending her letters. All that she knew was that her aunt would not tell her anything, and that not getting letters from her parents for some reason hurt. To get away from her home, she went to the city often. She thought of it as peaceful. One day, a girl who had recently joined the Thief came up to her and gave her a piece of paper, then skipped away. The paper said, "We need you to join the Helldivers. Enlist today." She took this as an opportunity to figure out her parents' fates, and immediately went to the Helldivers training arena and went straight up to her aunt, who was filling in for her grandfather, who happens to be John Brash, and asked if she could join the Helldivers. At first her aunt resented, but after some begging and a little guilt-tripping, she finally agreed. She trained Ellen and then sent her to do her first mission on her own. She was eventually given harder missions and ended up in Parallax. Ellen found a fox, and instead of helping with anything, she only protected this fox. She did in fact bring this fox home and named it Moxie. Because of that mission, she acquired the nickname Foxy and is called that to this day, gaining a dislike of her previous name. But she denies it and insists it's just because of her sneakiness and skill to kill. Foxy considers Sin and John family, and is now very close friends with Vixen, who happily accepts her company. She also loves small creatures and people, sharing Sin's love of helping children. Vixen and Foxy often draw together in their free time, when not injuring each other via Vixen's lack of driving skills. Growing up, Cadet Epic, originally known as Tom, had a pretty good life. His parents loved and cared for him, and were always there for him. But they had always wanted a girl, and once they got their wish, they only showed love and attention to their girl, and practically abandoned them. Tom was in the background, just sorta there. 3 years later, his life got a little better. His parents had joined the Helldivers, He was unable to care for his sister, so she got sent to live with their honorary aunt. His parents did come home on special occasions for the first 2 years. What I mean by special occasions is his sister's birthday and Christmas. But he felt like his life was better because both his parents and his sister weren't home. He felt like he had peace. Finally. But another 3 years later, he got tired of it all, so he left. One Christmas, he overheard his parents and his aunt talking about the Seaf, so he looked into it and found that they would get adopted by Helldivers. His wanting for parents decided to make him join, so he packed his bag and left. He did in fact get adopted by a Helldiver. Her name was Lily. She was 16 and incredibly jumpy. The second she saw him, she immediately took to him, calling him a cute and handsome blueberry. She begged him for years to join the Helldivers, and only after his parents died, 3 years later, he finally accepted. On their first mission together, he asked the big question, "Will you marry me?" And when Tom turned 20, he and Lily went home. It wasn't until his aunt visited and asked him to keep an eye on his younger sister that he joined the Helldivers again, leaving his wife and son home. He got put into Parallax, but often returns to his family on every occasion he gets. Tom became known as Epic for his feats on the front, escaping a horde of cyborgs on one of his first missions with them. He gives popsicles to his squad mates in his free time, but expresses bias toward John, Pyre, and Rome, and is cold towards Sin, Vixen, and Foxy for reasons unknown.
And now, dear viewers, before this video comes to an end, there is one more thing we left out, that being the Super Destroyer's housing of our divers. The SES Operative Iron is Parallax's flagship ensign destroyer. There is always a large quantity of soup on board, for some reason. Cadet Foxy ship, the SES Star of the Stars, has all the milkshakes in the yard. It also contains an uncountable amount of foxes due to her love of them. The SES Song of Judgment is Fix's destroyer and has all the snackies, accompanied by a large quantity of rubber ducks. That could possibly be why the engines squeak. The SES Flame of War, named as a result of her captain's violent nature, is Pyre's destroyer. Unlike John's, her ship carries more practical things, such as Rome's destroyer. The SES Judge of Judgment has an unfathomable amount of cowboy hats that are, ironically, unavailable. John Ballenbrash's destroyer. The SES Princess of Twilight is a legal break of doom, having twice now committed vehicle manslaughter to the people aboard the DSS for their crimes against civilians. This hot Cheeto-flavored basement of weapons will not hesitate to examine a whole country for the sole purpose of killing one termid. Aboard is a detailed description spread across 20,371,633,733 pages of writing about the Fix or Haslam universe and how to farm it, all written by John himself. For some reason, it seems more of a civilization in itself, containing multiple stories, as well as miscellaneous docking stations for almost any Super Earth vessel, excluding the DSS. He is beef with it. The SES Emperor of Destruction is Epic's destroyer, and has a large amount of popsicles, as well as pictures of his family, but is covered in cobwebs due to not being used in almost 7 years.
And with that, this video comes to a close. I hope y'all enjoyed this. I worked incredibly hard on it. Helldivers are hard to draw. Thank you to Nixie, Fox, and Sin for joining me. That will be all for Parallax as of now. Until next time, my democratic ducklings.